What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe from joesdaily.com. I just got back from an amazing cruise with Royal Caribbean for their inaugural of Wonder of the Seas. This is one of their new Oasis Class ships, and it is the world's largest cruise ship, which is saying something. I felt inspired to get back into YouTube because during this amazing press trip, even though there was only about 80 of us, I met a few really cool YouTubers that inspired me to get back into creating YouTube content, especially for travel. And now that travel's getting picked up again, and I actually have a couple trips booked, I thought, why not take a stab at doing some of my just favorite experiences on board the Wonder of the Seas. And I want to give a big shout out to Griff and Alyssa. It's a couple I met. They're cruise content creators, YouTubers, and they just broke 50,000 subscribers, and they really inspired me to get on camera again and start talking about my experiences. So without further ado, I actually wanted to talk about my 5 favorite dining experiences on board Wonder of the Seas and share that with you guys, because truly, when people go on a cruise, one of the things that they do is they eat a lot. And that's because usually there's a great amount of dining experiences. And I'll even touch on some cocktail experiences while I'm, chatting about this stuff. But specifically, I wanted to talk about the dining experience and share with you some photos that I posted on Instagram. In case you guys don't follow me on social media, I would definitely recommend following me on Joe's Daily and Joe's Daily Eats, which is kind of a newer channel I barely upload to, but I'm going to start doing more. I just want to share with you guys my insane dining experiences. So if you guys are looking to go on a cruise soon, hopefully you can take some of my advice and really enjoy your cruise by eating everything. So the first dining experience I want to talk about is the main dining room. And that's because most cruise ships, I'd say about all cruise ships pretty much, have a main dining room. And the reason for that is because it's included into your cruise purchase. And for those that are new out there to cruising, maybe you didn't know that a lot of the other restaurants are called specialty dining, which usually means there's an upcharge. Usually it's anywhere between $25 to upwards of sometimes $50. And that's per person, of course. Now, I highly recommend you trying the other restaurants, though if you don't want to spend the additional money, you can certainly eat in the main dining room every single night of your cruise. But once again, I don't really recommend it because there's so many good options out there. Even if it's a little bit of an upcharge, trust me, it's worth it. So to kick off my favorite dishes I had at the main dining room, I had to try the French onion soup. Now, French onion soup can be hit or miss depending on how the chefs cook it, how the kitchen actually goes about it. But I will say this is one of the best French onion soups I've had on a cruise ship, and I've usually tried to have it anytime it's available because it's one of my favorite soups personally outside of cruising, and this one was delicious. Next up were the crab cakes. I was a little bit worried about these. You can screw up crab cakes dramatically. These were perfectly salted, perfectly put together, perfectly packed or pattied, I guess you could say, and they were just awesome. And then lastly, I don't know why I was craving so much seafood that day. I ended up having the herbed crusted salmon, and once again, this was something I felt like could easily be screwed up, but it wasn't. And I actually had it 2 nights on the main dining room. Normally I don't ever do that, but I was craving it after I think it was like the 4th night. I happened to be in the main dining room, and it was just as good the second time around. So I'm kind of going in order of how I ate through this cruise. So for example, the first night I was in the main dining room, and the second one here is actually where I had lunch. So I didn't have dinner at Chop's Grill, but I got a good taste of what they can cook up for dinner because I ended up getting one of their steaks, which is what they're known for. And I got a 8-ounce filet mignon, and it was awesome. So as I said, just because it was lunch doesn't mean I didn't really get the full dinner menu. But I was able to really experience the quality of the cut of beef and how well the chef cooked it. And I got it perfectly cooked at a medium rare. It was honestly one of the best steaks I've had in a long time. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I know it seems like I can easily fluff my review, but it was tender. And honestly, I've had plenty of steaks on a ship, and I don't know if it's the way they have to store it, but sometimes I feel like the meat doesn't last as well as it feels like it would in like a restaurant on land. But for some reason, this meat was perfectly cooked, perfectly seasoned, and like I said, one of the best steaks I've had on a cruise ship. I kind of jumped the gun because obviously I had an appetizer. Before I had the steak, I got the colossal shrimp. For whatever reason on this cruise ship, I was craving shrimp. I don't eat shrimp very often, but it just sounded really good. The colossal shrimp was awesome. It was huge. The sauce was great. It was definitely like a pretty common cocktail sauce, but it had a little bit of a different flavoring, which I really enjoyed. I can't really put my finger on it, but it was delicious. So if you like shrimp, you'd like this. And of course, not shown in the photos I just presented to you, which I think I was so hungry that day, I forgot to take photos. But there was a lot of great sides. Of course, it was like a bunch of vegetables. We was a shared table, so it was a bunch of vegetables, fantastic. they had like this homemade tater tot. And you know, tater tots are usually pretty tiny, you pop them in your mouth. These were big. They were like triple the size of a normal size tater tot, and they were like homemade, delicious little like fried potato pockets. Delicious. And then of course they had a mac and cheese, which was awesome too. So I had all of it, did a little sampling of each thing, and sorry I don't have a photo of it, but just take my word for it. Great sides, and I can only imagine dinner being just as good as lunch. So definitely check out Chops Grill. So this entire restaurant I'm about to talk about is going to sound like a complete brag, and it kind of is, but it was kind of an accident. Long story short, Azumi is by far my favorite restaurant at Royal. They are on all the ships, from my understanding. They might not be on one ship, but I believe they're on every single ship. I believe there's 25 ships on their Royal Caribbean fleet right now. But anyways, Azumi has the sushi side and then a hibachi side. Now, let me just quickly jump in and say that I actually had hibachi the night before, and it was fantastic. I will say this. This is a little bit of a complaint, but I just want to be honest with you guys. This was an inaugural sailing, which means it was the first sailing. There's going to be a lot of issues, a lot of hiccups, and there's a lot of growing pains, right? A cruise ship is huge, especially the world's largest ship. So there's going to be issues. So let me just quickly tell you about the issues. Hibachi is great when it's with a group of people, right? Now, I was traveling solo as a journalist, and unfortunately, our table, even though I was with perfect strangers, which is fine. I love going to a bar and meeting people, so I don't mind being at a table by myself with a bunch of strangers. Unfortunately, it was just me and this other lady who were solo, and then a couple. But the table sat like 8 or 9 people. So it was very loud and chaotic from the other tables. And unfortunately, our table was just 4 of us trying to talk to the chef. That was very loud. So long story short, the enjoyment of the hibachi experience wasn't great, but it wasn't exactly their fault. The food was amazing. I got the chicken and the beef and of course the fried rice. It was fantastic. So I'm not insulting the chef. The chef was fantastic. The experience wasn't great. But once again, an inaugural sailing, there's going to be hiccups. So I'm going to let that slide. That being said, you might be wondering, why did I just intro with this when I was talking about Azumi sushi? Well, let me just tell you, the next day I went back to shoot photos of the hibachi, and I ran into a guy by the name of Chef Travis. Now, little did I know, Chef Travis is the creator of Azumi. On all the ships, he created it. And let me tell you, we hit it off right away. The guy is just a charming dude that's super talented, and he wanted to host me for a lunch at Azumi. The reason I introed this third restaurant with a humble brag is because the chef, the creator of Azumi, hosted me for lunch. And let me tell you, the photos that you're seeing right now do not do the sushi justice at all. I don't even know the names of everything I got because, spoiler alert, another humble brag, Chef Travis created like basically a custom menu for me just off the cuff, and it was phenomenal. Now, I don't know exactly the details of this, but he also made me his own soy sauce. He basically said when he delivered one of the sashimi plates, he was like, do not dip this in the soy sauce. I already painted on the soy sauce that I created for you. I was like mind blown. Now, obviously I did get special treatment. I'm not going to lie. Like I did get special treatment being media. I'm not going to pretend like this is why I said it's a brag, but I do want to make something clear. This is hands down the best sushi I've ever had on a cruise ship. Like 110% best sushi I've ever had on a cruise ship. And I've had a lot of sushi on cruise ships. I've had anything from Carnival to Region 7 Seas to Norwegian, and this is by far the best sushi. And after talking to Chef Travis for a while, in between him delivering me dishes, you really get the gist of this guy's passion for this. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, like any chef I think would have passion for their food, but like he goes above and beyond, and you can really see why they are killing it on cruise ships for their sushi. Like literally, like I would love to see a food critic go in and review Azumi against all other cruise lines, and I guarantee you Azumi is going to be top 2, top 3 maybe, if not number 1. So yeah, hands down, if you like sushi, go to Azumi Sushi on a Royal Caribbean ship. Definitely the best sushi I've had at sea. Now, if you were to ask me, Joe, what was your favorite restaurant on board one of the seas? I'd probably say Azumi. But the truth is, that's not exactly true. Just because Azumi's on all the ships, right? Which makes it still a good restaurant, but it's not as unique as what's on Wonder of the Seas. For example, the Mason Jar is a brand new restaurant to Royal Caribbean, and the first one it's being placed on, or it is placed on, is Wonder of the Seas. Now, I can tell you right now, if you're watching this video 6 months to a year later, there's a good chance that Mason Jar is now on other Oasis Class ships, because the success that we experienced on the 7-day inaugural cruise on Wonder of the Seas was so great, and everyone was talking about the mason jar. There's no way in heck that they're not going to deliver it on other cruise ships that they currently are running, right? I mean, why would they do that? Just like Azumi's on all the other ships, I'm pretty sure the mason jar is going to slowly trickle into other ships, and I'm sure we'll hear more news about that very soon. I guess I should also mention the mason jar is Southern comfort food, which in itself is one of my favorite genres of food, because, you know, you're going to get delicious fried chicken, delicious cocktails, all sorts of delicious sweets. We actually ordered, it was a group of us, I think it was about 5 or 6 of us at the table. We actually had like a child with us as well. One of the journalists had their baby on board, and the cutest baby ever. And of course, because the baby was there, we got some extra food, like some sweets, like red velvet pancakes, cinnamon rolls, stuff like that. Well, I had the Meat Mouse chicken and waffles, which kind of blew my mind because it came with hot honey and hot syrup. And on top of that, the chicken I was worried about. I was worried, how are they going to make this chicken like a real Southern comfort chicken, right? And they made it so good. And the best part is if you like that chicken, then guess what? It's also on the chicken sandwich. They also had a Nashville hot chicken. So really the chicken translated on multiple dishes, which in itself is exciting because if you find some good fried chicken, especially on a cruise ship, you're never going to want to leave it because fried chicken is delicious. Unless you don't eat it, that's fine. But let me tell you, the fried chicken was phenomenal. And of course, we tried other dishes you'll see in this video. We tried various egg plates and biscuits and, oh, what was it? Jalapeno cornbread. And I already mentioned the cinnamon roll. But yeah, everything was delicious. But now let me talk about the cocktails. I got to do a little photo shoot with the cocktails, and I also got to try all them. And let me tell you, the PB&J Old Fashioned made with Screwball whiskey, which is a peanut butter based whiskey, and those little things you can see, I'll try to zoom in, but I don't think you're really going to be able to see them, but those are mini PB&J sandwiches that you eat. And one of the curators at the restaurant told us that you should dip it into the drink and then eat it, kind of like you do dip an Oreo. It was one of the best cocktails I've had in a long time. They're very sweet forward cocktails, so they're almost like desserty, but so good. And then of course you had this like delicious mint julep, and then you had the Far From Manhattan with candied bacon. I mean, all the cocktails were great, and these are just a few of the cocktails. Matter of fact, one of the coolest things about the Mason Jar, outside of the food and the cocktails, is that they had a country band there every night. And let me tell you, every single person that was in there listening, I mean, it was jam-packed because people wanted to have the cocktails, eat some delicious food, and listen to the band. It was seriously probably the best restaurant on board for both food, entertainment, and the service was phenomenal. So last but not least was Hooked Seafood. I had the oysters and this like delicious fried fish platter. I mean, the truth is there's never going to be a time for me to say no to seafood. If someone said to me, you can only eat, seafood on this trip, I would be not mad at all. And the Hooked Seafood, not only did they have these delicious oyster shooter cocktails and just honestly just delicious cocktails in general, the seafood was fresh and delicious. Like the oysters, like I'm not gonna lie, like I get worried about ordering oysters in most places. For some reason, when you walk up and you see the oyster bar and you see them shucking the oysters and all that stuff, you just see how fresh everything looks. And I was like, no, I'm sold. And I think it was me and 2 other people got oysters at the table, and not one person had something to complain about. Even the dipping sauces they had, the horseradish and all that stuff was perfectly fresh and delicious. And, you squeeze a lemon over it. It was just a wonderful experience and very good. I will say, if I'm being just completely honest, the fried seafood platter, I looked over my shoulder and saw what other people were eating. And if I had a second chance to go back, I probably would have got the surf and turf because the lobster and filet looked awesome. And the fried seafood platter was just too heavy. I wasn't really sure why I ordered it after I ordered it. It was still good. But after I got it, I kind of like, I regretted it because I was like, man, I know I'm going to probably have a few more drinks tonight. And of course, there's always that late night pizza that's 24/7 essentially. So I was like, man, I don't know if I should eat all this. And I ended up not eating it all. I shared with my neighbor. But yeah, the fried seafood was a little heavy. So going back, I'd probably say I wouldn't get that again unless I'm like starving. But it was a little heavy. And overall, like not mad about it. Just I wish I got the surf and turf over that. Also, I forgot to take photos of some of the other sides. But of course, we shared a bunch of sides. They had this like roasted corn and French fries and all the things you would expect at a seafood restaurant. But the way they presented it, like the cheddar biscuits and stuff like that, it was fantastic. It was very good, and definitely highly recommend going to Hook Seafood if you love seafood. So yeah, guys, that's really it. I hope this video made you hungry. And if you're going to be going on a Royal Caribbean cruise anytime soon, I hope some of these give you some inspiration on where you should dine and all that jazz. Truthfully, there's no judgment to anyone that does main dining. Listen, I know some people are on a budget, they save up for their vacation, last thing they want to do is spend more money. But I can tell you that if you really want to maximize your experience, make sure you make reservations to some of these specialty dining restaurants, and make sure you make those reservations. I'm not kidding and exaggerating when I say that they will sell out. Chances of you getting into a reservation might be slim if you wait to the last minute. So definitely think about, game plan where you want to eat. Go on my Instagram, look at my photos. Honestly, you're going to start drooling, because every time I look at them, I'm drooling, especially when I look at that French onion soup photo again, and the filet mignon, stuff like that. But yeah, I hope this video made you hungry. And if you guys liked the video, please smash that like button, click subscribe. I definitely plan on making more of these videos. Now that travel's picking up, I'm going to be doing more travel videos. So not just cruising, but I think that these videos, they're fun to make. And honestly, the experiences I have on cruises are second to none, just because of the excursions, the port stops, the food, the entertainment. I mean, I can make a video for every little department, even including the stateroom tours, stuff like that. So I definitely plan on doing more of this. And if you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment. That helps support the algorithm, and clicking the like button, all that jazz. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me on all my social channels, they're all down below as always. And I appreciate you being here. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.